showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
It's that time of week again. That's right, it's time to be gay, or at least we're going to talk about it this gay week with myself and Scott Jacobsen back safely in Ukraine. I don't know if you say that, back safely in Ukraine, but we are going to talk. All right, it is the Karel Show, and I am Karel. Back, like I said, I don't know, do you say safely in Ukraine? Back in a war zone where it's relatively safe. We have Scott Jacobsen from the Good Man Project, where we talk this gay week each and every week right here on the Karel Show. And this week is no different, barring any kind of internet slowdowns, accidents, drone strikes, Russian attacks, whatever else could happen in a war zone. But barring all of that, we will do. And you're back from Germany, I take it, or Belgrade, or somewhere. You've been there. You're freaking everywhere. Our own little Marco Rubio.
Except I almost met him. I was at a G7 summit, and he was only a few meters in front of me. He's not very physically imposing, actually. He's quite a.
Or bright.
Well, there's that.
Although he thinks he's going to be the next president. He thinks he's going to get the nomination away from Vance. And according to polling right now, he actually is polling higher than Vance. So we'll see how that shapes up for Mr. Rubio. All right. This gay week, of course, where we talk about international LGBTQ issues. As you know, this week on my show, I already talked about one. Long Beach Pride Festival being canceled. It's still a lot of great controversy around that, and there shouldn't be. I have all the facts. As I told you before, the Pride organization dropped the ball. They did not get the proper paperwork into the city. The city did everything they could to salvage it. And the danger of this dialogue is that the head of Pride in Long Beach is painting the city as a nemesis, painting the city as, oh, look, they canceled Pride right when it was about to happen a half hour before. That is not what happened. The city simply said, we cannot let it take place because you had 65 days to get us the plans. You didn't. Then within the 14-day window, you still didn't. Then on Thursday, you still didn't. Then on Friday, you still didn't. So we had to shut it down. But the city, which they're painting as homophobic, did pay for the Pride Parade. They did allow the festival to go on abridged at Bixby Park. And the mayor even offered $50,000 in private fundraising to move the event over to the Terrace Theater and Bixby Park, and Pride said no, 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 and no. So in the Long Beach Pride issue, this is not where a city was jumping on the Trump bandwagon and going with the whole anti-gay sentiment going on around the world. This was actually our own community letting us down. And as Scott and I talk about LGBTQ issues across the globe, real ones, life matters of life or death, we also have to remember that in some of these issues, in some of these stories that we talk about, like the Long Beach story, sometimes it's the gays letting themselves down. Sometimes it's that we didn't do everything we needed to do or get done, including showing up at polls or whatever it might be. In Long Beach's case, the Long Beach Pride Incorporated, which has one job on this ship, to produce that festival, they didn't meet the city's deadlines. Everyone else got mad and said, well, the city could have rushed it. The city could have made concessions. And if the city had done that and somebody gotten hurt, then there would have been lawsuits. The city would have been out millions of dollars and Pride would have gotten a bad rep, or worse, been sued into bankruptcy. So the city did what it needed and had to do. It was not homophobic. And we have to be very careful as gay people. When something doesn't go our way, we can't always scream, homophobia, homophobia, because sometimes it's not. And in the case of Long Beach, it wasn't homophobia, and it wasn't a city pitted against the LGBTQ community. It was actually the LGBTQ organization that did not do what they needed to do. So I just want to start with that because a lot of times gay people scream homophobia, and sometimes it's not. Then there are other real cases around the globe that we're going to cover today where it is homophobia. But in Long Beach this last weekend, and by the way, I don't want to, but I think it's the best thing that could happen to Long Beach Pride. I think all prides, and Scott and I have talked about prides across the world, some of them getting canceled. I think some of the prides getting canceled and having to reinvent is possibly the best thing that could happen. Long Beach Pride was getting too big, out of control, $40 to get in. You couldn't exit and leave and come back. That was causing people to not want to go into the festival. It needs to rethink the entire festival, and it needs to make sure it remains free. Paying $40 to get into a festival is not kosher when a lot of LGBTQ people don't have that. So pricing people out of the festival is ridiculous.
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
And I can hear the queens now. How can it be free, Karel? They got to pay the acts. They got to do this. They got to do that. Yes, they have to do all those things. And guess what? Orlando does it. They tack on $1 to every beverage and ask, hey, do you want to keep Pride free? Give us an extra $1 per every beverage. They tack on $1 to all the food that's sold there. They fundraise in the community. They get bars and other people to participate in the fundraising. So Pride can be free, and in many cities and many areas around the world, Pride is free. And Long Beach should rethink. Okay, now on to the stories of this gay week. You sent me many. Where would you like to begin?
I say we go with the Project Not Alone.
You are not alone. Are we going to sing Michael Jackson songs? I am here with you.
He's been popping up on a lot of social media lately.
Well, because of the movie. Because of the movie.
Oh, that's right.
The movie's number one again. It's back number one again. People upset the movie stopped before the allegations started, which, by the way, I don't believe the allegations. I do not believe that Michael Jackson slept with small children. Maybe I'm just naive, but I've been to Neverland, and I met him, and I photographed him, and I just don't believe it happened. But yes, he has been popping up. But You Are Not Alone, which is the Prisoners. I'm like a prisoner, Barbra Streisand reference. Eyes of Laura Mars, a movie that she was pitched by her boyfriend, John Peters, but she would not make because she said the role was just too frightening and too scary and not something she would do. But she did sing the theme song to it, and Faye Dunaway played in the movie. And who else had those eyes in the eyes of Laura Mars? So this is about, we have spoken about how in Cameroon and Nigeria, it's not a great place to be gay. In fact, it can land you in jail, and it has. What people don't realize, and what I'm gleaning from the story, Scott, and tell me if I'm wrong, is basically you can buy your way out. After you serve a certain amount of time, you can pay fines and fees and get out early. And there is this organization that is doing that very thing. They raise money, and as soon as someone is eligible to be released, they pay the fines and get them released. Also, I guess you can upgrade your cell. It sounded like a hotel or something where they could pay for a more private cell. And so what's going on is they're asking for donations. 5 gay men and 3 lesbians deserve to be set free in Cameroon and Nigeria, where they are locked up for simply being gay, by the way. And this last week, Scott, I don't know if you know this, but this last week here, because this is a Friday, but on Tuesday of this week, it was the anniversary of Oscar Wilde being released from jail in Ireland for being free. For being gay. He got out in I did a little meme about it. What year was it?
That is a wild story, you could say.
Yeah, it truly is. It happened in 1897. He was released May 24th in 1897, where he served 3 years of hard labor. Take that as you will, for being gay. And so there are people nowadays doing or having what Oscar had, which is jail sentences. There are 8 imprisoned victims of anti-gay hostility and homophobia, and Project Not Alone has focused on those 8 people. which expands their work. They have gotten 56 gay, lesbian, and trans prisoners out of jail in Cameroon and Nigeria from 2019 through till 2025. If they reach their goal of $10,117, they will pay prisoners fines, allowing them to be released early as soon as legal requirements are met. It will also pay for hygiene supplies, supplementary food supplies, because they often survive on just horrible, filthy, rat-infested food. It'll cover the cost of arranging secure cells for 3 gay prisoners who are awaiting the end of their detention. That's what I meant by the upgrade. I guess if your family has the money, that you can go from Gen Pop into a secure cell, which, if you can imagine, gays and lesbians would need to stop them from being beaten and or killed. And it will pay for mandatory technological modernization of the QTalk app, which is the app that they use to raise funds and offer private counseling in Nigeria. Since that is illegal, they have to sort of do it on the down low, and this app is a way for them to do that. It's really amazing to me, though, Scott, that it sort of still all boils down to money, doesn't it? I mean, Nigerians hate gays, but only so much. I mean, they'll let them pay their way out of jail.
In some ways, I mean, it's an informal way to garner more fairness to overcome an unjust system. It doesn't change the system to make it a more just system. So it's just getting more fairness.
Well, you know, and some of these people, the reason they're in jail, there's 3 lesbians in jail in Yaounde, Yaounde, which is in Cameroon, I believe. They were arrested last November in a police sting targeting online dating sites. They'll be set free soon if their fines are paid. If the fines aren't paid, they will remain in prison to work off the fines. So that's why they need to pay the fines.
Since 1897.
Yeah, exactly. Since 1897, going strong. One gay man serving a 2-year sentence for homosexuality after his partner's parents reported him to the police. Those are some fucked up in-laws right there. I mean, I'm telling you right now. Mm-hmm. When your husband's parents turn you into the popo, there's a problem. And 3 gay men who are awaiting trial on homosexuality charges. They were arrested in January after a homophobic neighbor reported them to police. And then in Port Harcourt, 1 gay man was in prison last November after being blackmailed by a sexual partner. He wouldn't pay the partner, who said, look, now that we've had sex, pay me, or I'm going to turn you in. He said no. The guy turned him in. He's in jail. And then in Doula, Douala, 5 gay men are currently serving time on homosexuality-related charges. Each of them is supported by family or friends. They're scheduled to be released soon without intervention by Project Not Alone because they have family and friends that are willing to pay the fines and to help them. But many people don't, and so that's where Project Not Alone comes in. Yeah, there's some really interesting, just terrible facts in the story. Really terrible facts. If you want to donate, by the way, to help get them out of jail, it's St. Paul SFDR, STPAUL SFDR at gmail.com. That is the PayPal for U.S. contributions. And so it's the St. Paul's Foundation that helps Project Not Alone fund their efforts. So that's what we got going on there. And you're right, since 1897 and before, still throwing queens in jail and making them pay to get out. I wonder if we had a get out of jail free card, if that would even count or matter. They should start printing those get out of jail free cards.
I mean, if a society is corrupt, there are a lot of sort of social bartering mechanisms one can take advantage of.
You got to wonder, though, where's, like, you know, the Human Rights Campaign? They raise millions. Where's GLAAD? If all this place needs $11,000, that's just the ice sculpture at one of their parties. So, you know, I don't understand why they're not, you know, helping them more.
A lot of international funding has been declining after USAID and others have pulled out, so to speak. So those have probably been redirected to more core concerns. And it would be nice if there was enough funding to cover everything. But if large nation states, the superpowers that are currently extant, aren't contributing their share or their fair share or their promises to fulfillment, then the international institutions that are devoted to actually filling that gap will be only able to fill fewer gaps. In a sense, it'll be more of a Swiss cheese situation.
I still think 11 grand is not that much, and there's a U.S. organization that could step up. But that's just, I wish I could. If I were Elton or someone like that, I'd just write the damn check. But I'm not. So what can we do? Well, we can report on it, and hopefully you guys, someone out there, will write the damn check and get these poor queens out of jail in Nigeria or Cameroon. I can't even. I mean, I saw Midnight Express. I can't imagine what they're going through, and it's not pleasant.
Well, I had a colleague, Mark Balla, for one Facebook post, SS Umar and Co. In Kaduna State in Nigeria stated that in their report that the statements he made in terms of critical commentary about the Prophet Muhammad were, quote, provocative and annoying. And after reductions of his sentence for that one post, they finally managed to get it down to 5 years in jail. He's since been out. He served his 5 years, and he was the president of the Humanist Association of Nigeria. So it was a very significant case. So the severity of rights abuse can be significant in the Nigerian context.
I think of Trump, and I think all that's going on in this country and how horrible it is, and how we are getting to the point where they want people to turn people in, that sort of stuff. But that being said, European gay people, for the most part, and I'm going to throw American gays in with the European gays. We have adversity, but it only gets so adverse. In places like Nigeria and Cameroon and such, it gets life or death. And it does here too.
Fundamentally, these are human problems.
Yeah, and I mean, it does here too. If you're trans, you certainly are scared to walk down the street and all that stuff. But I just have to tell you, it's sad. It saddens me to hear these stories, because as I am sitting here in my studio right now, in my comfy home in Las Vegas, talking to a handsome man in Ukraine, there is someone in a cell as we speak right now, at least 5 that we know of, in Cameroon and Nigeria, who are literally living in hell. And I'm sitting here talking about their situation, but that's all I can do. I can't do much more than that. I can't let them out. I don't have 12 grand to give. And so all I can do is talk about it. And it saddens me, because if I ran the world, I would, Trump likes to throw military weight around and everything. I would use American military to free gay people. I would. I mean, what's Nigeria going to do? They ain't got a fucking army, I'll send in the Marines and clear out the gays.
There was, you mentioned several sessions ago, you don't necessarily care about sort of the ebbs and flows of leaders. I mean, because they'll die or they'll lose power. You care about people.
Yes.
Similarly, these are shifting landscapes. I mean, my thinking is pretty simple on a lot of these topics. Human rights are based on a principle of universalism. Are they being applied universally? If not, how can we make it so? And so that principle gets you pretty far, I think. And we could get a good example of the shifting landscape. If you take the Reporters with Reporters Media Press Freedom Index, as of now, the most recent published index, the most recent update, it shifted. Now, Ukraine during wartime with Russia is freer in terms of the press than the United States during wartime, i.e. With Israel against Iran, on that international ranking. It is considered the most authoritative ranking on media press freedom. And so technically, when I'm reporting here, according to that ranking, that index, I am more free to report from Kyiv than from New York City. or
Well, I
Dallas,
could have told
Texas.
you that. Look how Trump treats the press. If you ask him a
Mhm.
pointed question about what's going on, he calls you stupid. He calls you dumb. He blacklists you.
Quiet, piggy, quiet.
Right. Calls you piggy. Exactly. So, yeah, no, I can completely see that. And of course, over here, we're taking a hit every day with LG. When we started to talk about Long Beach Pride, the actual festival, not the
Mhm.
parade being canceled. If you could have
No, I've
seen
been
the
there. It's a lovely
comments,
place.
if you could have seen the comments under it, it was like, oh, thank God, America's finally healing, and all this other. I mean, people rejoicing that a Pride festival was canceled in 2026 in the United States, and that's
City Pride
solely
and
because
Kyiv,
of Donald
you're in
Trump.
war.
It's solely
I
because
think,
of Trump and his anti-gay rhetoric, which he claims he's a friend of the gays. He said, "Oh, well, I used their national anthem." That shows how much he knows. YMCA is not our national anthem. It's Raining Men is. So this shows what he knows.
Well, that kind of
we're gonna
commentary,
have a break here in just a quick second. We are talking with Scott at this gay week. He is in Ukraine, where he is freer to report on things than he is in New York City. We'll talk more issues when we come back, including
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
we talked about a Pride Festival being canceled. Scott Jacobsen is here with me from Ukraine. We have a story that's sort of the opposite. Israel is looking to not only have one, but have the biggest ever. On a beach in Israel. I think it's in Israel, right? They said, yeah.
Veritable Pride at the Dead Sea. And it's the largest ever LGBTQ festival in the summer, which if you've been to Tel
He's crapping out his Wi-Fi. I have not been, he was going to say, and we're going to try to get him back on. I have not been to Tel Aviv, but I am told that the Tel Aviv LGBTQ Gay Pride Festival is by far one of the best in Israel. I got to try to get Scott back here. Let's disconnect there. Let's reconnect to previous session. Let's see if we can get him back. We're trying. I have to let him in when he comes back. Open the door and let him in. Ooh, yeah, let him in. But what he was going to say is that in Israel, the Tel Aviv LGBTQ Gay Pride Festival is one of the biggest. I know many friends who have gone and said, oh my God, it's fabulous. And Tel Aviv is actually one of the best LGBTQ pride communities or LGBTQ communities in the Middle East. Because let's remember, Israel is by Saudi Arabia. It's by all these other countries where gay pride is not exactly a thing. And so the fact that they have a pride festival in Tel Aviv is great in and of itself. Now they want to put on a 4-day festival at the shores of the Dead Sea on June 1st. It's coming up. And they want to fill the hotels. They want to have it programmed 24/7. And literally, they want to have around the clock, 24/7, parties and festivals. I was sort of wishing I could perform there. But they want to have that. So it's going to be a 4-day festival. It's called, I believe, it's not called World Pride because that already is taken. They're calling it Pride Land. Pride Land. And Pride Land will transform a section of the Judean Dead Sea into a party destination with 15 hotels and beach complexes, plus parties and performances running around the clock, according to the Jerusalem Post. So that is what's going on there. And there is a private promoter. It's one guy, actually, Aaron Cohen. He's the main producer of the festival. He said it'll be the biggest undertaking for Israel's LGBTQ community. It's interesting that they're having this at a time where they're actively engaged in a war. Israel is still bombing Syria. It's still bombing Lebanon. Iran is still going on. and they are asking people to come over and, take part. So that is very, very interesting to me, that it's going on during a wartime. So we'll see how that goes. I'm trying to find Scott here. Add Scott Jacobsen. Are you added? There you are. You're back. All right. We were telling them. Speak up so I know you. I can hear you.
Testing. One,
There
two,
we
three.
go.
So
I was telling them
this is
that
the
Aaron
biggest
Cohen
one.
is and Aaron Cohen's the producer, but it's called Pride Land. And yes, Tel Aviv is the most gay-friendly city in the Middle East. We know that. I mean, all gays kind of know that. It's amazing to me that they want to do this with 24/7 programming for 4 days, because there's still a war zone. I mean, Israel's still bombing Syria and Lebanon, and Iran is still going on, and the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. But let's go party at the beach.
I think it's great. And I was in Israel briefly in the summer last year. It is hot as hell in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, in Eilat, if you're a little bit more south. If you're at any of the border crossings of the
Now,
the
are
Lundy.
missiles still being lobbed? You know how they have the missile defense system there. Are missiles still being lobbed into Tel Aviv, or has Hamas stopped that? Were they all coming from Gaza? I mean, I don't know, because are they going to be maybe under the threat of missiles if they go to the Pride, big 4-day Pride?
There
Fest?
are some. That's a good question. There are some ceasefires. If they are launched, the volatility is intermittent with regards to how much.
Because we gays, we don't do bombs well. We don't, don't bomb our Pride festivals. We don't do that okay. I'm jealous. I'd like to perform at it. I'd love to go singing for my Jewish brethren, and my Palestinians brethren. I wonder if there's going to be Palestinians allowed at this big Pride festival.
There
legal.
are Palestinian Israelis.
Yeah.
There are Arab Israelis. There are Jewish Israelis.
Yeah. So maybe we can bring peace to the Middle East. Who knows? Bring the gays over for a 4-day festival and let them. So we'll open that Strait of Hormuz. We'll be like, girls, we got to get our Pride things through. We need
Big
lube.
pink tanker.
We need lube. It's made out of petroleum jelly. We need to bring through the tankers.
A big oily tanker. You know how fast that thing's going to slick through the strait?
Damn right.
The fastest tanker ever.
That's right. Get some wet lubricant on the outside of it and shove it right on through. It'll only hurt for a minute.
Glittering with the moonlight with all the glitter on it.
Yes, exactly. So, look, if they can pull this off and have a 4-day successful Pride Festival in Israel, more power to them. I mean it, particularly now when we have literal war raging in the region. If the gays can go and distract people, and I just worry it'll be attacked. I don't know.
Possible, and there will be hate groups. But like in this war zone, interviewed the project manager for Kyiv Pride, a gentleman named Mikhailo Yurov, and we did an interview in the downtown core of Petersky district here at a coffee shop. And they organize here too. There were young men, Slavic men, who had planned to fill condoms with feces and then fling them. They got thwarted by the police. The police were sort of in coordination and on the side of the organizers. But
can you imagine hating gay people so bad you will literally try to shove shit into a condom to throw at somebody? I mean, that's like the grossest thing I've ever heard. And yet they're willing to do it just so they can hurl them at gay people. And they think we're weird. They're going to shove shit into a condom, but they think we're the perverts. Okay.
I've done a lot of interviews. I've read a lot of stories, and that's among the more bizarre, gross stories that I've.
Young straight men are crazy. They're insane. But, if we could get rid of young straight white Christian men and older white Christian men, the world would just be a lovely, lovely place. But we can't.
It's broadcasting.
That's actually a really good
different
segue
point
to the
of
Marcia
view.
Gay Hardy story.
Yours.
Well, we'll do it in just a moment.
Listen daily to the Karelcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karelcast, driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast, driving you home or driving you crazy.
Now it's your time.
Darling, what are you and your friends doing in there? Mom, I told you not to bother us. We've got to shove a lot of shit into these condoms. Is that what you guys have been taking X-Lax all day for? Anyway, so trying to figure out in my head how that goes. Hey, where do they get the shit? It's like B. How do they shove it into the condom? Do they wear gloves? They're all going to get, they'll get parasites. They'll probably die. Good for them.
Also, who are they sending to purchase the number of condoms they're going to need to throw and have enough, so to speak, ammunition that'll last?
Mm-hmm. And what did they eat fiber for like 3 days previous? I mean, what is going? There's a
I don't think I've seen Metamucil here or anything either.
Yeah, exactly. There's a movie by Pier Paolo Pasolini, which if you've ever seen any of his movies, you will remember them. And they're very, very. You look him up, Pier Paolo Pasolini. He died actually at the hands of a gay hooker, a young one, 16-year-old Turkish hooker. But he made movies about those very things. One of his movies, Salo, it's called, S-A-L-O. It is possibly the most perverse film I've ever seen. And one of the scenes is called Circle of Shit. And they have a banquet where everybody eats crap. And the crap that they eat is from the women guests who were only fed fruit for 3 days. And then they collect their poop from the fruit, and then they eat it. I don't know how Pier Paolo Pasolini got the idea for that part of the movie, but it's in a movie called Salo. When Andrew and I got a Laserdisc player in like 1998, only the Criterion collection was available on Laserdisc, and they had all of Pier Paolo Pasolini's movies. Saint Sebastian, there's one about Sebastian. They're all gay, all of them, and they're all twisted. But he did use feces in his movie, and he had women eating fruit. So maybe the people over wherever they're throwing these condoms in Kyiv, maybe they had someone eat fruit for 3 days. Who knows? I read the Marcia Gay Harden story, and I love her, by the way. All three of her kids identify as LGBTQ. And she made a statement at the center. And what saddens me about the story is that there are still people who need to hear what she had to say. Because to me, what she's saying is almost like the Declaration. We hold these truths to be self-evident. And what she was saying is, if you have queer children, if you have gay children, and you alienate them, you throw them out, or you cut your support for them, it's only you that suffers. You're the one that's missing out. You're going to miss out on Christmases and birthdays. You're going to miss out on, visits. Yeah. You're going to miss out on phone calls. That basically, as a parent, if you do not accept your gay children or queer children or LGBTQ children, you're the one that's going to miss out, because they're going to go on with their lives, and they're going to have friends, and they're going to have lives, and you're not going to be included in that, and you're going to miss out. And so that was the thrust. And she was really talking to the mothers, because mothers are the nurturers and such in the relationships. And she was basically saying, hey, moms, if you don't do this, you're going to miss out. It's only you that's going to suffer. And she's right.
I think there's a lot of parents that are in that situation, but with the realization only at the deathbed or close to it.
And we saw this during AIDS a lot. Okay. AIDS was on my mind. Andrew, 25 years yesterday that Andrew passed on Thursday, the 21st. It was 25 years. Mm-hmm. And of course I was, very involved in the HIV AIDS community. And I can't tell you how many people, and not just young people, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds, the moment they got AIDS, their family just cut them off. Andrew's family, when Andrew went back to Big Bear and told his sister that he had HIV, they threw him out. That's how I met him. They brought him to a hotel, the Motel 6, next to the frat house in Garden Grove. They paid for 2 weeks of the hotel and said he couldn't be around the kids. And we'll talk more about that when we come back. But, you know, I have firsthand
If you're not
knowledge.
visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
So I'm basically the Marcia Gay Harden of my time, because when I got with Andrew, I mean, it was my it benefited me. I might not have ever met him had his family not thrown him out. First, when he found out he had HIV/AIDS, he found out from a horrible doctor at an HMO. He was in a room. The doctor came in, said, "You tested HIV positive. There's only one drug, AZT. It's not a very good drug. If I were you, I'd get your affair in orders and tell your family you're going to die." Okay, and this was at 22 years old. Okay, so then he leaves that doctor, and he was staying with his Aunt Pam. And he leaves the doctor and goes to Aunt Pam, who calls her boyfriend and tells her what's going on. And the boyfriend says he can't be at the house with the kids. Early days of AIDS. They didn't really know how it spread. So then Pam brought him to Big Bear. So he goes up to Big Bear with the family. Candy, my former sister-in-law, who we don't speak anymore, which is fine with me, did the same thing. Said, you can't be around the kids. Jake was a baby, and Heather was only 5. So they drove him down the hill to the Motel 6, bought him a 12-pack of beer, paid for the hotel for 2 weeks, and left him there. I met him over the course of that. Then once we got together, he would always invite his mom down from Big Bear, and every single fucking time she canceled the last minute. Every time. So I finally wrote
Kimmeled you.
Yeah,
Remember the Jimmy Kimmel Matt Damon thing?
Yep. So I finally wrote a letter to her and faxed it. This is the days of fax. That basically said, your son is an incredible human being and he has HIV. So we don't know how long he's going to be here. You're the one missing out, not us. We're having a great life. You know, we're being us. You're missing out on what could be the last years of your son's life. This is on you. He welcomes you. He wants you to come, but you keep not coming. Oh, well, every family member had to, well, why is Charles writing this letter? But whatever. Guess what happened? 2 weeks later, she showed up. And we started traveling with her. I didn't really like her, but we started traveling with her and showing her the world. We took her to Hawaii, San Francisco, other places. So she would have missed out on all of that. And so Marcia Gay Harden is right. If your mom and you are cutting your child out for being gay or lesbian or bi or queer or trans, whatever, it's only you that misses. You're making a big mistake. And if hearing it from another mom can inspire them, great.
I just wanted that 2 cents there too, to add on to your point. The inversion of what is implied by what she is saying in that article reporting matches what you're saying about many young Christian straight men and many older Christian straight men who essentially, when she's focusing on the mothers, is that the men are lost causes in this regard.
In many ways they are.
Right. And so I think there's a sort of a symmetry in sort of a mirroring of one another, what you were saying earlier, but then also her commentary. And this is not a nobody. This is an Oscar winner, you know?
Yeah, exactly. One of the saddest songs ever recorded was during the AIDS era by Elton John, and it's called Father and Son. And the son is dying. And it's about them and the horrible situation they find themselves in. You know, it's one of the saddest songs. Well, I never thought I'd lose. I always thought I'd win. I never thought I'd feel the fire beneath my skin. I can't believe you love me. I never thought you'd come. I guess I misjudged love between a father and his son. Just a tragic. The father finally shows up as the son is dying. But to the son, it meant the world. It was like all the past was forgiven because finally he shows up. Even though it's at the end, the son never thought would show up, and he finally does. See, I haven't heard that song in decades for this very reason, because it brings me right back to holding the hands of people who were dying of HIV/AIDS, and all they wanted to do was see their mother or father, and their mother and father wouldn't come because they had the AIDS, they had the gay plague, and they let them die alone or with their friends. And all the person lying there in the bed wanted to see was their mom or dad one last time, and they didn't get to. And that's why Elton wrote that
was
song.
probably saying from experience too.
Oh yeah. Elton has been through it. So Marcia Gay Harden is right. Never doubt an Oscar winner. If you are a parent and but let's take this further. If you, how do I say it? So when gay pride parades, when I go to one of the things people always do is lose their mind for PFLAG, Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. Okay. It's a community service organization started basically during the HIV/AIDS era, and it is exactly that. It's parents and friends of lesbians and gays who accept their siblings or their children. And everyone would get mad at me because I didn't stand up to cheer. And they're all, why aren't you cheering these people? And I said, because I never knew it was an option to not love your child because they were gay. I didn't know that parents got an option to not love their kids. It's your kid. If the kid murders someone, you still got to love them. It's like they're your child. And so having an organization set up to honor people who just love their kids because they're gay, that pisses me off, actually. I mean, I love them and good for them, and I'm glad they're here and in our community. But to me, you don't get a choice. If your kid is gay, you don't get a choice to not love them. They're your kid. So, and that goes for anything. Not just being gay. If they're dating, like how many times have I heard back in the day in the 70s or 80s, someone brought home a child or a date that was the opposite color. Oh, Andrew did that. He brought home a black guy. Oh, his mother and father were racist and they went through the roof. And he didn't really want to date the black guy. He just wanted to piss off mom and dad. So he brought home when they got to me, at least, So when he started dating me, they didn't like me, but at least I was white. But how could you not love your child just because they fell in love with someone of a different race? If anything, it would mean you raised them right. You raised them to be open and accepting and loving and caring. So I don't, not just for being gay, I think Marcia Gay Harden should expand it out and say, if you alienate your child for any cause, any bigotry or any kind of hatred that you may have in your soul, it really is just harming you. Because they're your kid, and you'll miss out on a part of their life that you won't ever get back. Time flies.
In societies that produce a lot of traumatized people who harden their hearts a lot.
Yeah, they're called politicians. And this brings us to the next story. But when you sent me this story, I thought, well, he's, I don't want to say you're not gay, because who knows? Maybe you're bi, or gay adjacent or whatever. But you're not old. And one thing the gay community has always had a problem with is we never met a substance we didn't like. Alcohol and alcoholism has been rampant in the gay community forever. Drugs, crystal meth, cannabis, cocaine in the 70s and 80s, acid, mushrooms. If you know a gay person, you can get drugs because I guarantee you that gay person knows where to get drugs. And that means even right now in today's world. If you know someone gay, you've got a connection because someone in his world or her world deals drugs. And it has ruined a lot of us. It has taken a lot of lives prematurely, certainly caused a lot, now that gays are getting older.
Yeah, John had his period.
Oh, yeah. Now that I knew him in that period. Now that gays are getting older, we're now suffering not from AIDS, which has become more of a chronic illness, but from the lifestyle that we led, the polluting of our liver and our bodies from all the drugs. So this story about why do gay youth vape more than their peers, it's the same reason that gay men and women use more substances than perhaps their straight counterparts. That is because it's a coping mechanism. You are bullied, you are segregated, you are told you're different, you are told you're less than. And so to escape that you turn to something that makes you feel better. And the problem is drugs work. And alcohol works, and OxyContin works, and meth works. And so gay people, but again, I would expand this out. I think black kids use drugs and alcohol probably more than white kids, or any minority. I think any marginalized community probably has higher rates of substance abuse, and that's because of the bullying and the rejection. And so this story about vaping, which I do see a lot of young gay kids vaping. I do. And I'm just like, you need to stop that. It's going to your lungs are going to fucking fall out. But I know why they do it, because it's a coping mechanism. So this is a news story about vaping and how gay teens are leading the way and are outnumbering their straight teens. But it's not a new subject. Gays have always medicated more than their straight counterparts, because of the rejection and the bullying and the trauma of being LGBTQ in a world that doesn't accept you, even now. So I'm not surprised at this story. I wish they were doing something other than vaping. I mean, hell, cannabis even, because that's, at least it won't kill you. Sure. But vaping tobacco is very bad for you, very, very bad, and hurts your lungs and give you asthma and heart arrhythmias and all kinds of terrible stuff. But when you're in pain, you don't think about that. You don't think about the harm that vaping is doing when you're in emotional pain, because it helps with the emotional pain. So,
Also, this ties into, and one of the reasons I like doing extended series over time with certain collaborators is you see and can link certain patterns that come up in the news stories, in this, or the academic articles, or whatever the topic might be. But this one ties directly into that survey we saw a couple times in some of our previous sessions over the last several weeks and months around mental health challenges of LGBTQ plus youth. This cope via vaping is reflective of that similar issue. And then sort of your expanded sociological analysis and sort of a reflection on your personal
I
experience.
think gay people are so extraordinary because we are so fucked up. And I don't know any other way to say that. Because that's why everyone says, why are there so many gays in the arts? The arts are filled with broken people. And I mean, I'm just going to say it. Actors, actresses, singers. We enter a profession that is one of the hardest in the fucking world. And the goal is to have your work accepted. So adulation and, adulation. And that is the goal, to have your work accepted and to be accepted as an artist. So it's yet another way of yearning for acceptance. And you are able to tap emotional depths that other people can't, because they haven't experienced them. And so there's so many gay people in the arts, because the arts, to be a great artist, you have to be broken. And there's no other way to say that. Every great artist, Michelangelo, on down the line, I could just go. Oscar Wilde, every great artist has faced some kind of horrible adversity, whether it's a stigma of being gay or being black or being a woman, or whether, whatever it might be. The more damaged you are, the more apt you are to create great art.
Well, the 1897 case, Wilde, I think, is also interesting. Da Vinci, with his own case, with his accusations that were made against him by the church, those are particularly interesting. They might have a Freudian analysis potentially, because it was done around sexual orientation, which is to say, is done around the sex drive, and that shattering that or fragmenting that in some way can produce, certain things that are unpredictably excellent.
Yeah, I just think the more damaged you are, the more fabulous you are. Because, and what I mean is, there are two types of damaged people. One, the ones that it breaks. And we're seeing signs of that
A lot of those.
everywhere today. My friend Steve has a neighbor. She's a lesbian. Yesterday, she was in the middle of Harmon, a busy street, facing the sunset, shouting at Jesus as cars whizzed by her on both sides. The night before, at 10 o'clock at night, she went out in the windstorm and laid on the concrete and screamed at the Lord. So obviously this woman is broken. She she's not a well woman. So she is
religion
someone.
Is a cope in many ways.
Oh, religion is the ultimate coping mechanism. It is the ultimate drug.
Yeah.
It is a big lie that you wrap yourself in to feel better. But so she's broken, and I mean broken as in needs medication, therapy, possibly an institution. She's broken. Then there are other broken people, and I think that's the rest of us, because every person in their life has some kind of trauma or big event or something that has harmed them in some shape. I can't hear me.
Now it's showtime.
You know, a child that's been through a divorce with the parents and a messy divorce, or, we're all broken in some way. Everybody. There's not one human alive that's not broken. But I just think the more damaged you are and then deal with it, cope with it, and learn to get through it, the more extraordinary you become. And I think that's why there's so many really incredible gay people, gay and lesbian people, and bi and trans and all that, because we've had to face a world that hates us, and yet we've had to find joy and peace. Speaking of that, we can close with this story because it's probably international now. You may have seen it in Ukraine. Maybe you didn't, but you might have. RuPaul posted a video yesterday, or 2 days ago now.
Okay.
And she said fascism has won, which I did not argue with her on that. She said that 45 years of defunding education has made an entire nation of non-critical thinkers. So if you want to argue for equality and you want to argue all these things, there's no one to argue with because we have a nation of idiots that can't critically think. I agree with her on that. But then her final statement was, so I guess the only answer is to dance and sing and bring joy and laughter and dance. And that's it. Party. Have a big party. I took issue with a millionaire who could actually do something to fight fascism, telling us that the only solution now is to dance and party. And Rue comes from my era, and Rue remembers that during AIDS, we did dance and party, but we weren't ignoring AIDS. We were holding the bars were a different thing back in the day, Scott. You probably haven't even been to that many gay bars, but I will tell you, they are not what you went to. Back in the day, we didn't really have a lot of gay centers.
Actually, funnily enough, I went to one. I went with a person I was dating and two other friends in Long Beach to one.
Oh, okay.
This was years ago.
You could have seen me there. You might have seen me. So bars used to be places where you got information. Our gay publications were there. That's where we got information because you couldn't get a gay publication online. You had to go to the bar to get it. So Edge, Frontiers, Advocate, those kind of things, they were in the bars. Second of all, community service organizations. They didn't have offices and big gay centers and all that. They often operated out of the bars. They met at the bars. And so back in the age of AIDS, yeah, we danced and partied and sang, and we did it at the bars. But at the bars, we also organized, disseminated information, held fundraisers, held benefits. We would call candidates in to come and speak at the bars, at the nightclubs, where they'd stop the music and the candidate would come in and speak. Or we'd have them do it in the afternoon, like at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So, yeah, we danced and sang during AIDS. We sure did. But we did it with a social conscience. We did it on top of our activism. We didn't stop our activism to dance and party. We did both. We incorporated dancing and partying as part of our activism. And so for Rue to say, well, fascism is won. It's because of 45 years of defunding education. You might as well just party and dance. It was really tone deaf. A lot of publications have taken him to task right now, and a lot of comments under his video are taking him to task, saying no.
Well, I don't want it to be too heavy-handed, though. I mean, fundamentally, the message of throwing hands in the air, even aside from the millionaire point, it does. And again, I'm speaking as a Canadian, so hedging it here because it's not my country. Anti-American in some way, because a lot of the civil rights movements have been for over a century. So there's been a lot of generational passing of the baton while still doing the work. It's not saying don't enjoy your life. It's saying pass the baton at the same time. And there are younger people who are coming up in this context who could use a little bit of morale support potentially in that context, as well as contextualization.
Right.
Because as we know, if you have two things of, or something of equivalent value, and you gain it, and then you lose it, the loss of equivalent amount of the same thing feels worse than the win. That's how our minds work. So we're at a point of regression, Americans particularly. So it feels worse than the gains that have already been won, but it only feels bad relative to many, many steps up that your and her generation built.
Well, and I can't slight her. I mean, I can. I do often because I don't like her. But I've gigged with her and had personal relations with her and was not happy with said personal relations. I don't mean sex. I mean, we gigged at a gig and she bossed my husband around and told me to get out of my own dressing room and all this other stuff. But and then didn't show up at a fundraiser.
Was she wearing the Pharrell Williams hats at the time?
No, she didn't do that at the time. She would, but so I get her point that when things are the darkest is when it's time to remember that you need joy. I get what she is trying to say, that things are very dark. Fascism has taken over. There's been 45 years of defunding education. We're surrounded by idiots who believe in fairy tales. And she even said that, which made me happy because you know how I feel about Christians. They crazy. Well, any religion. But so she's right about that. But that we still have to find our joy. Okay, I agree with that. You cannot let the weight of the world turn you into a horrible person. You still need to have fun, laughter, joy. They made music in Auschwitz. I mean, they did. They wrote symphonies in Auschwitz. So you still got to have some joy. But the way that she presented it was like, well, since it's won, might as well just go dance and sing and throw your hands in. You know, it's like, no, we're still going to fight. We're still going to vote. The midterms are, well, we have not the actual midterms, but we have primaries. Thank you, brain. Happening all week long this week and next month. And so we're already in primary season. And then the midterms are coming in November. So there's a lot of work to do. Like my primary here in Nevada is just 2 weeks away. And if I want to campaign for a candidate that's gay friendly, I have to do it now. So yes, dance, sing, don't let Trump and fascism ruin your life any more than they are. But I just think that you need to temper that message with stay involved. All right, Scott, this is it. Another week of This Gay Week. We got to you in the Ukraine. The signal held up. We looked at gay people around the world. Some of it good, some of it bad, all of it gay. And we'll do it again. And we'll do it again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's broadcasting from
I am Karel. Be who you want to be. Don't hurt anybody. Bye, everybody.
Yours. Listen daily to the Karelcast on your favorite streaming
I can get rid
service.
of hold on. I can get rid of all that for us to say a proper goodbye. I don't have to be so
that'd be
strict.
interesting.
Yeah, well, I just did. It's all gone now. We can say a proper goodbye. But because with you, I never know where the hell you're going to be in the next week. When are you going back to Canada? By the way, you are Canadian. That's I remind you.
Yes, that's true. I got my military media accreditation, so I can stay here. I think it's good for a year. So I can come and go as I please now. And I could go to Chernobyl. I could go to Zaporizhia, where they have that nuclear plant. Yeah.
Why you'd want to is a whole different topic. Let's go to radioactive zones. Did you want to have children one day? Because you want to fry those testes right up to the body there. So you're going to stay there for a year?
I can't imagine that. But
are you independently wealthy? I need to know. I mean, how are you affording staying in the Ukraine or is it just cheap to be there?
I am not independently wealthy. I make money, and then I use that frugally. I live a very reasonable lifestyle.
How much is dinner in the Ukraine if you go out to eat?
If you go, we can check.
Let me guess. They have Uber in the Ukraine. Uber Eats.
How much is a standard meal outing? Actually, let's say an American meal. A few burgers, some fries, and a Coca-Cola at a McDonald's. Maybe $6 to $12.
Oh, so
Canadian, so probably
almost the same as here. Somehow I thought Ukraine would be cheap, like you could go to dinner for $10. 3
hamburgers is probably $4.50 US.
Oh, well, that's much cheaper. 3 hamburgers here would be, well, you'd need a mortgage. But, well, I mean, because literally a Big Mac at McDonald's now I think is $6.99. So, you know,
yeah, that's a lot.
3 of those would be $21. And what about rent? Like you're staying with friends, right? You have friends that you're staying with? And how much is their rent?
I cannot disclose.
You've never asked?
I'm not going to say.
Well, is it more or less than let's say a 1-bedroom in Las Vegas is $1,500 a month. Where does a 1-bedroom in Ukraine fall?
Let's find out. How much is a 1-bedroom?
Why aren't you going to disclose? Are you staying with rich friends? Are you in mansions over there?
So they say 15 to 53,000 hryvnia. Let's do the Olympic rule and say 20 to 50. Put it in the middle, 35,000. So 35,000 on an average one. Hryvnia.
What's the money called there?
Hryvnia.
Hryvnia?
Close enough.
Whatever. Sounds like a bad dish that you make with stroganoff noodles.
$792.
So $800. So it is cheaper to live in Ukraine than in Canada.
Oh, yeah, it's a war. Of course.
Well, I would think in war things go up. Because over here we're at war with Iran, and trust me, shit's gone up. Okay, gas is $5 a gallon.
Foreign companies are more expensive.
How much is gas in Ukraine? It's $5 a gallon here.
How much?
Oh, you don't buy gas. How do you get around?
By foot and transit and flight and train and bus.
Well, excuse the fuck out of me. I mean, I
remember I was in Iceland.
Do you have Lyft drivers in Ukraine? I mean, you know.
They do. They have Uber and Bolt and Uklon.
Okay.
I remember I was in Iceland and I was riding a scooter, and to get around, I was there for 3 weeks studying because the World Economic Forum has said that most gender equal in the world. So I was doing some field work there.
I could go into an executive in Hollywood and say, okay, imagine this. A guy's riding a scooter in Iceland, and the movie would be sold. They'd buy it right then and there. And that's all I would have to say. So a guy's riding a scooter in Iceland.
And it was rainy in, I think it was June. And I was with a Mexican or an Icelandic lady at the time. But I remember they had at their museum. I scooted to the museum from the hostel, and it's like the Museum of Natural History. But you go into an actual glacier that they keep on ice, and the glacier doesn't exist anymore. But it's about 100 meters of walking through it. It's really cool. And I remember on the scooter ride home, I think it was home. Yeah, the wooden path was all through this sort of gardeny, tree, grassy field, and on a raised platform. So you feel like you're going through like.
So you're in Pandora,
like
basically.
It felt kind of like it. I felt like I was blue and I shot arrows.
Yeah.
And when I was there, though, I remember I pressed the brake, but it was slimy. So a little bit of film of bacteria had grown on the boardwalk, I guess you'd call it.
Lovely.
And but it was just the front tire was a brake. And the back tire keeps going forward as the front one stops, and I immediately, and then it just tilts, and I land, and I smack the hell out of my ribs, and I bruised them really bad. And they were bruised for 6 weeks when I was going through Italy and Switzerland at the UN, cover the Human Rights Council, and Strasbourg at the European Parliament, Luxembourg, France, Lithuania. I think it was only when I got to Israel and got interrogated that they had finally healed up. And then
they got hit by the Israeli guards and broke them all over again.
It was ironic because just when I had healed up, then I was getting interrogated for, I think it was 4.5 hours by them.
This is why you're single, by the way. Just FYI, this is why you're single, because no one's going to put up with all that. So gas in the Ukraine is $1.71 per liter, and what is it, 4 liters per gallon? So that it's actually more than the U.S. then, because it would be almost $3. Yeah, it'd be about $6+. So you guys are paying even more than we are there for gas, because this is directly because of Iran. No two ways about it. Well, and with you guys, with Russia as well, because I imagine Ukraine used to get oil from Russia, and now they don't, and now they can't get it from hardly anywhere because the Strait of Hormuz is closed. So so $6 plus a gallon. So not everything is cheaper in Ukraine. I imagine groceries are probably high there too because they're high here. I imagine you guys are mimicking what's going on here.
Of the Eastern European countries, I think the second poorest is Moldova, and then Ukraine in war. Russia's not a very rich country either, but I think that they consider it more Eurasian than European, and it shows. I mean, in certain areas where it's kind of like that. But
I was just curious because I was like, I could not be away from home for a couple months. I'd be dead ass broke. I'd be over there like panhandling, saying, we'll work for passage back to the USA or whatever.
I've been traveling. I was only going to go for 2 or 3 or tops 4 weeks, because my third trip, my first trip was 2.5 weeks. I was working at the horse farm, covering equestrianism at Olympic Horse Farm there. That project was finished.
You can also tell you have no pets or houseplants because
Sure,
they'd be dead by now.
Actually, my second trip, my last cat died when I was on my last trip. My second trip.
Probably from loneliness. No, I'm just kidding.
It's 18 years. 18
oh,
years.
okay.
He was
older. And you saw what?
He used to meow like he was
18 years old, and you probably saw it for 4 of those years. And the other 14, you were out traveling the world. All right, Scott is in Ukraine. I don't know where he'll be next week. We can just tune in and see. We'll throw a dart at the map and see where it ends up. But stay safe. Stay out of drone fights and all of that, and no more interrogations. And we will see you next week.
Okay. Thank you very much, Karel. I appreciate it.
I am Karel. Be who you want to be, so it doesn't hurt anybody.